everyone, this is Peggy Fisher, your instructor, and in this lesson we're going to talk about numeric data types in Java. You might hear people say that Java is a very strictly typed language, and what I want to do is talk about what that means to us as programmers when we're trying to declare variables and use numbers in our programs. There are 7 different types of data that are listed in our book. These include integer, byte, short, long, double, float, and character. For this activity, we're just going to concentrate on integer and double. An integer is a number that does not have any fractional part. When you're learning your number line in elementary school, you learn about integers. You have the numbers that go to the right of 0, 0, 1, 2, 3, and the numbers that go to the left are the negative numbers. These are what we call integers. Some examples would be 5, 10, 375, 6,256, 0, and some negative numbers such as negative 100. Okay, a double, on the other hand, a double is a number with a fractional part. So that's how we're going to handle times when we need to have a decimal point. Some example of double numbers might be 0.5, it might be 620.75, 3.14159, or 345.6. Does anyone recognize this number? It's actually a very special number in mathematics, and if you said pi, you are absolutely correct. And it's out to the 5 decimal points. Pi, as we know, goes on infinitely. So when you want to use pi, if you're trying to find the area of a circle, or maybe you're trying to find the circumference of a circle, okay. If you're trying to find the area of a circle, or you're trying to find the circumference of a circle, you would want to make sure that you use a variable that can contain a fractional part, or use a variable that has a data type of double. All right, let's take a look at the next section here. So what if I ask you the question, what is 4 divided by 2? And I'd like you to put your Java hats on. So 2 integers, 4 divided by 2. If you said the answer was 2, you're absolutely correct. Good job. Okay, let's try another one. What happens when I take 2 integers and I take 5 divided by 2? If your answer was 2.5, that would be correct if we were dividing 5 by 2 in our normal everyday math. But the problem is that in Java, 2.5 is the incorrect answer because in Java, it is just the number 2. Remember, 5 and 2 are integers. So when you divide 2 integers, you only get the integer portion as your answer. This is probably one of the hardest things that we'll have to learn in Java. It's kind of like re-understanding our math, but hang in there. Just remember that if you have 2 integers, your result's going to be an integer number. Okay, now what I want to do is give you a chance to try it. So assume you're following the Java rules for math. Okay, here are some equations. Take a minute to think in your head or write down on paper what the answers would be for each of these problems. Okay, let's take a look at the answers. If you want to pause and take a little bit longer, go ahead and do that. But here are the answers. Notice the difference between the equations that contained a double number and the equations that included only integers. Okay, let's do a few more. Take a minute to figure out what the answers are. Again, write them down. Pause the video if you want to take a minute to write down your answers. And now let's go over what the answers will be. This is probably one of the most common mistakes that people make, is this one right here. Okay, so be careful of that. Remember, Java is a strictly typed language. So when you're defining variables, choose your data type carefully. Just real quick, if I was going to have a variable that tells me how many students are in a classroom, would you use an integer or a double? I really hope you chose integer because I don't think we want to have a half a student in class. A similar situation is how many cars are in a parking lot. Unless you count the smart car as a half a car, you're going to get a whole number. But the other side, if you're calculating someone's wages, let's say, and they earn $9.75 an hour, you don't want to ignore the 75 cents or they'll actually get shorted in their final weekly paycheck. So you just need to be really careful with Java because you don't always get an error, but it will give you a logic error. Logically, you will get the incorrect answer if you don't choose the right data type. All right, in the next lesson, we'll talk more about declaring variables in meaningful names and appropriate data types. Until then, thanks for joining me today, and I hope to see you soon.